I'm not gonna lie, after he hit that four on the last ball, I was freaking out.
Good evening. Here's a very warm welcome to you to another special show of Straight Bat with Mr. Cricket UAE. We have got a really varied and star-studded lineup this evening, if I may say so. With us is the man himself, whom we call the Mr. Cricket UAE, that is Anis Sarjan. Then we have got Faizan. I mean, who doesn't know this man with the magical voice who keeps on saying, Bande ka naam Faizan, the famous the DJ as well as a cricket aficionado and cricketer, an amateur cricketer, that is Faizan with us. We have got our Gulf News sports editor, A.K. Satish, and the two very special fans with us, Arjun Singh, who had been an instant hit since last year, and Naresh Mansukani. Arjun, obviously, as you can make out, he's the die-hard Chennai Super Kings fan who must be a very happy boy today. And we have got Naresh ji with us from Mumbai Indians. So I think first up with Arjun here, I will, take a reaction from you. Arjun, how does it feel? The typical Dhoni finish, last over?
Yeah, it does actually feel like that. Like, I'm not gonna lie, after he hit that four on the last ball, I was freaking out. I'm like, ow. It was such a close match, though. If you followed it on through the second innings, you realize how close we were to losing the match. I mean, when the match started, I'm like, okay, we're going to get them all out before 100, right? And then when they made 150, it's insane to think how things can get out of control so fast.
Right. Yeah. Perfect. Faizan, I'll come to you. I mean, generally, we always start with Anis bhai. Your experience of doing cricket, talking for hours together on cricket, keep us entertained. Keep us laced with the songs. You go back to the nostalgic times. You come back to the current times. So this IPL over the years, how has it been? How has been the experience for you to bring it live to the thousands of audiences and your fans, if I may say so?
Well, it's incredible. I mean, over the years that we have done the IPL, and it's been 10 years that I've been doing cricket commentary. In fact, I started with a man called Mr. Cricket himself. He was the one, he was doing commentary with me on my very first series. So we started, he had started 1 year prior to me, and I had started after him. So I had got a lot to learn from him, and he was responsible for me putting on some weight as well, because you'd get so much food while cricket was on. It was amazing, all the times that we have spent together, and in fact with all the other commentators as well. It was brilliant. And IPL is one festival. It is maybe like Eid or Diwali or something like that, because we look forward to it and we absorb all of it. So yeah, I'm kind of missing it this time around. But the fact is, as I was talking to you guys off air, I have got to get a breather as well. In the last 10 years, I haven't been able to in Ramadan. So kind of liking it also.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it can be quite demanding, but what keeps us going is we really enjoy doing what we do. I will come to Anis bhai now. Anis bhai, a bit about the match. I mean, this used to be this is still the El Clasico of IPL. I remember I watched a documentary on that Mumbai Indians on Netflix some time back. So they were showing that the first edition of that Mumbai-Chennai match at Wankhede and what it meant and all the buzz. Today we had the 9th and 10th team playing, but Chennai, it was a very typical, it had all the hallmarks of a Chennai performance. How would you sum up this match?
Thank you, Gautam. Hello, Satish. Hello, Faizan. Hello, Happy Arjan. And hello, disappointed Naresh. And hello to all the beautiful fans of Gulf News. As you rightly mentioned, it was the El Clasico and it lived up to it till the end, to be very honest. We never knew who's going to win, even though Mumbai had the upper hand when Chennai was chasing. But MS Dhoni turned the clock, and like every time, we hope that he does it. And this time he did not disappoint, and happy for all the Chennai fans and happy for obviously MS Dhoni that he could do it once again.
Right. I'll come to Satish now. Satish, Mumbai Indians, yes, I mean, from a catastrophic start, banking a lot on Tilak Verma, going on to get 150 plus. But then once again, performances in bits and pieces. Daniel Sams, possibly a kind of redemption after that, hammering at the hands of Josh Butler some time back. But those 4 wickets, still they couldn't take them towards the goal. So Mumbai Indians, where do they go from here? Seventh loss on the trot, right?
Yeah, seventh loss. I think a couple of things got them. One, I think Mumbai Indians they have suffered the seventh loss, but this team doesn't look like the team that won the 5 titles. Certainly not, because they seem to be a little clueless to start with as a batting unit. Number one, and even before that, if you look at the wicket is a flat, dry track, and they're playing at home. They should know the wicket like the back of the palm. But the sad part is they picked only one spinner, and that too was making his debut. So it was absolutely, they got it wrong right from the start. To be honest, it was Chennai who made this match more difficult and interesting because of dropping so many catches. Otherwise, the match would have been done and dusted by the 15th over or 12th over if they had taken all the catches and if they had played to their potential. But I would say, at least from here, that the good point for them is this year is Tilak Verma can be a good investment. Your Brevis can be a good investment. Sams can be a good investment. But certainly the experience, the Rohit Sharmas and Ishan Kishan, who costed the team so much, should actually try to do something to the team, which they have been letting down. Bumrah has done quite well today on a wicket where there was a lot of bounce and assistance. He did well, but they know, the Chennai Super Kings know that once you get him through and they can attack any other bowler, especially Unadkat, who tries to vary his pace more than the actual pace. So it was a well-created move by Dhoni. I think he was waiting for the last over. And one small observation is the last over, Mumbai scored 16 runs and Chennai scored 80. And that's how the equation changed.
I'll come to Nareshji now. Yes, I mean that you were spot on, Satish, on that. But Nareshji, I was just looking at the figures a bit. Rohit, I mean, possibly his failure to click with the bat, despite having starts on 2 occasions at least, and he got a 40 odd. But overall, you look at it, 114 runs an aggregate from 7 innings. So that's a very un-Rohit-like performance, to say the least. I mean, 2 of our finest showmen, or entertainers, Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, they have been giving us some agonizing times. So what exactly today again? He kind of checked his drive and it was a soft dismissal. What do you think about Rohit? Where is it going wrong really?
Well, again, left armer getting him. I think that's been part of his cricketing career. Left armers have troubled him. Though Trent Bolt is now gone to some other team, but that's the reason Trent Bolt was brought into Mumbai Indians, and how Rohit can improve facing left armers. But yeah, that's been a big concern, as Satish also mentioned. And as you're saying, Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, I will add Ishan Kishan, I will add Ravindra Jadeja, because these are the guys who make to the the Indian probables. So that's a big concern. But coming to Rohit Sharma, maybe too much. The changes were there again today because we are not getting the right combination to win games. But is it been overdone? And there is a lot of relooking at each strategy. I still feel today, thanks to Chennai's fielding, we could go on to have this game till the last ball, to be honest. But yeah, Ishan and Rohit on the top are a big concern. Does any changes needed in the order over there? We'll have to see what the people who take those decisions think about it. Rohit Sharma at the top needs to just maybe a clearer, more free mind to go and what Josh Butler is doing, what KL Rahul is doing, what Faf is doing. That's the kind of approach. Can he play those long innings? And that is what is the big concern. He's not just getting in. He's getting out too early. and when he's timing it, also he's not scoring much. So that's a big concern overall, not only for Mumbai Indians but overall Indians. A big concern of Rohit Sharma not clicking.
Exactly. I'll come back to our little friend Arjun there. Arjun, if we recall, your Chennai opening pair of Faf and Ruturaj Gaikwad, I mean, their consistency went a long way in them winning back the IPL title last year. Now, Ruturaj Gaikwad, he has been, barring that one odd innings, Ruturaj Gaikwad at 70 odd he got, he has been failing. So what do you feel? I mean, do you feel that, that is a problem with Chennai? I mean, then you have to depend on Robin Uthappa again, rising to the occasion like that. What does our young friend have to say about that?
So I think, first of all, the problem with Gaikwad is that on certain pitches, he can score magnificent innings, like that beautiful 70. Last year, the second half of the IPL was played in Dubai, which made for an interesting combination of pitches, which is why Ruturaj Gaikwad scored so much last year. I think that Ruturaj Gaikwad just needs to get used to being back in that sort of climate of India. And also, he needs to remember that CSK isn't as strong as it used to be. The auction really changed everything up. And now it feels like they're a totally different team. And also, relying on the second down, third down is not really a good thing. And I don't think CSK should adopt that kind of strategy. Because if you rely on a further down wicket, then you may have to, if per se your opening batsmen aren't batting perfectly, you're gonna need to find a different opening batsman to bat better to start off the game at least.
Sorry, Arjun, but isn't Ruturaj playing at home? Pune has been his home. He has been brought up on those wickets.
No, I think what he's trying to say is that the Dubai wickets, because
the low bounce wickets.
Second phase he was unstoppable really. Yes, I mean, and he should look to bat deep into the innings. I mean, that is the job which Fab does so well. Anyway, I'll come to Faizan at this point. Faizan, after this is a slightly generic question. We all spoke and wrote about it also. I remember Satish wrote a piece about Ishan Kishan.
Mhm.
These outrageous figures which are paid out. I mean, when he was paid, 15.25 crores, and that is nearly $2.5 million. We were asking ourselves this question that is he, worth that kind of money? And more than worth, by doing that, are you creating a kind of lopsided budget for yourself, which even Mumbai Indians are finding it difficult to cope with? Once you've gone after him, it was not a retention; it was the bid. So, what do you think? I mean, will the teams be a little more careful in the next round of auction? Anyway, now for 3 years you are sorted with this, or this kind of calculated risks will continue?
Well, first of all, to mention this point, there's another colleague in that particular team who has faced the similar thing 4, 5, 6 years back. Jaidev Unadkat, he was a name who was nowhere, and he was paid hefty amounts in those particular seasons for the IPL for Rajasthan Royals, and he just could not perform under that pressure, because the pressure is there. You are paid that kind of money to provide that service, and you haven't been able to do that, first of all. So Ishan Kishan, maybe that pressure is playing on his head. Maybe he thinks that because a lot of responsibility belongs on me, and that is why he has had slow starts just to build up his innings and maybe take it later on in the innings. But that is not Ishan Kishan that we know of. Ishan Kishan has always been good in the first 6 overs. So he needs to start well. That is what I believe. And that puts additional pressure on Rohit Sharma. So Naresh was talking about Rohit Sharma. And, I believe Rohit can thrive really well if Ishan can play that flamboyant game that he's known to play and that he's there to play in this side. So yeah, it certainly puts some pressure on a player like that so much money is riding on his head, and on his shoulders, so much responsibility as well. So I think it's the pressure, but I don't see that changing for the other teams, because once they feel that they need a player, they are going to go and bid for that player. And we have seen that in the past, and I don't think it's going to change much.
That's what had Chris Morris laughing all the way to the bank. So even those smaller options auctions are even more dangerous. We have got only
Absolutely.
one person here, that is Anis Bhai from the other side of the fence, who has built teams, who has done auctions. When you have somebody with a lot riding on him, and when you invested on him, if he fails continuously to deliver, how does it work, Anis Bhai? I mean, what should be an ideal situation for the for the team owner? How does he cope with it?
Gautam, I'm glad you asked me this question. I've been on the other side of the auction, as you mentioned, but it was a different auction compared to what IPL is. IPL is a totally big kettle of fish. I keep talking to few owners like the Punjab or the RR, or even I've spoken to a Bangalore owner once upon a time. So especially Punjab is the one who have suffered this brunt, whether you talk about Maxwell, whether you talk about Pooran, where they have taken big players, they have not performed. This time, fortunately, Livingston has done decently well, but they have no answers when they pick such big players and when they fail to perform. So they are forced to either make them play games, and then they get frustrated and then drop them in the second year or the third year. Probably they drag him for 2 years maximum. I don't think even Punjab has done that for 2 years. But the fact remains is that as an owner, if I am an owner and if I have invested on an XYZ player, and if they fail to perform, I get rather be disappointed and upset with my own decision as well as the player's performance. So it's quite frustrating. But honestly, there is no way out, because when you invest, you expect returns. And there is a saying, expectation reduces joy. So when you put an investment, don't keep any expectation.
Expectations. Right. Yeah. Yes, Arjun, you were trying to say something?
Yeah, I was saying, what does it feel like when you're mid-auction? You've selected a few of the players, but now you don't know what to do next.
Yes, I mean, Anis Bhai will have to answer that.
Yeah. Well, when you have a player, when you have selected and he's not performing, either you bear the brunt of making him play and giving enough chances. Sometimes like players like Pooran, who played the whole season last year, scored some 100 or 80 runs. Maxwell scored 130. Or you take that bitter pill and drop that player, like which Mumbai Indians, in fact, they did after 2 games to that young boy, Tim David, if I'm not wrong, which I feel was wrong. But there are two sides of it. Either, as I said, you take the bitter pill and keep up having that indigestion, or go ahead and make him play. Faizan wants to say something.
Right.
Also, generally in this IPL, what we have seen is that all those retained players, the big names, haven't performed really. It's the young guns who have come and performed. So maybe it's the pressure, maybe it's the lethargy, maybe it's playing cricket too much in restrictive circumstances because of the COVID. So maybe it's playing on their heads, as much as you are required to be physically fit, you are required to be mentally fit as well. So sometimes, and because cricket is being played so much all across the world, maybe it's tiring all those people as well. So all those big names haven't been really performing. And that is a question mark in this IPL for me as well. And talking about Ishan Kishan per se, I think the Mumbai management can only do one thing right now. They need to go tell him why they picked him. And that is how he needs to play. That is all that matters as of now for Ishan Kishan.
No, but for Mumbai, even Pollard has not been performing. Even Rohit is not performing. It's manifold, isn't it?
No,
also, coming back to that particular point, because I wanted to make that point as well. Talking about the batting lineup, I think Surya Kumar batting at number 4 is not a great idea. He came into the 4 of things when he was batting number 3. So, 2018 was the season when he broke through and he was batting at number 3 that particular season. So I think he needs to get more balls. Tilak Verma is performing well. He needs to come in at number 4. You need to maybe give Revis a different role altogether of a finisher. And Kieron Pollard is a much better bat. And Anis Bhai and I have talked so much about this in the previous seasons of the IPL, that Kieron Pollard is a much better batter than getting just 10, 12 deliveries at the end of the game. How much more can you expect from that man? I mean, you need to give him more deliveries. And I think number 5 is a solid position for Kieron Pollard, because he's a player who likes that feeling of the ball coming onto the bat. So once he faces 4-5 deliveries, that is when he's most dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, before we, move on to tomorrow's game, I would just want Anis bhai to, for those who have tuned in late or not aware of it, can you just, briefly talk about our contest before we move on to what's going to happen in the Rajasthan Royals versus DC game? Over to you, Anis bhai.
Yeah, Gautam, we have a contest every day on Gulf News where you have to predict the winner. And I dare tell you that predicting the winner this IPL has been the most difficult thing. Every day there is a shocker. Some team or the other dismisses your prediction. But that's what is the fun about. Go to your favorite page, Gulf News, predict the winner. And if you get it right, you walk away with the t-shirt which Naresh is wearing with a track and a Mr. Cricket cap. And also a 1-year digital subscription.
Super, sounds good. Well, now before we close up our last ritual, that is tomorrow again, Delhi coming out of a tight situation, shadows of COVID. Though it was a one-sided game, Rajasthan Royals had a little bit of break before that game where Josh Butler got his second century of the season. What's your take? What may happen, Anis bhai, tomorrow at the Wankhede?
I just sometimes close my eyes and now predict winners. But since I've backed Delhi from day one that they might win the title, I'll go with Delhi.
Right. I'll come to Faizan. What's your take? What does the gut feeling say?
Well, this time I have a great feeling about Rajasthan Royals somehow. Their top order is performing well, their middle order is doing good, their bowling is doing good, and they've taken some very bold decisions. You remember that retired out for Ashwin, I think they have taken some brave decisions as well. So tactically, the team is doing really good. The captaincy is looking good for Sanju Samson. He has played some important knocks, not big knocks, but important knocks. I have a feeling that Rajasthan Royals are a team to reckon with this year.
I want Satish to reply on this.
Sanju Samson's captaincy, I was just coming to Satish about it. Yes, I mean, we have spoken about it. But yes, I'll come to Satish next, since we are on the subject of Sanju Samson.
Satish, unfortunately, the same team that had a strategy of asking Ashwin retired out sent him as a pinch hitter the very next game, and I think that beats me seriously. Who they retired him out saying that he can't hit the ball, and then the very next game he was sent as a pinch hitter to boost the run rate. Anyway, I would to be honest, I will back Delhi because the way they played a clinical game yesterday, plus if you look at the previous game, actually it was Kolkata's game that they lost in 1 over of Yuzvendra Chahal. Otherwise, Kolkata would have easily won and chased a big score of 210. So that way, I'm saying that the tactical acumen of Rajasthan is still not perfect, and they depend a lot on Butler to give them the runs. Otherwise, they struggle. So that based on these two factors, I would go with Delhi.
Yes, Arjun, I'll come to you. Who's your favorite for tomorrow? What do you think is going to happen?
I usually pick Delhi because I'm from Delhi. But this time, I think...
No, you always pick Chennai.
No, but when it's a Delhi match, not against
Chennai. When it's not Chennai, if it's not Chennai, that's what I think.
It's not Chennai, and it's a Delhi match. I will usually pick Delhi because I'm from Delhi. But this time, since RR is really high in the table, they're like 3rd or something, and Delhi is 6th. I think RR has a really good strategy, and they're unbeatable. I think they may even go on to win this tournament, perhaps. But yeah.
High five, Arjun. High five.
Okay, Naresh bhai, RR versus Delhi, quite an intriguing clash from Pune. It's been brought to
I expect it to be a very close game. Delhi, I think they're on a high. The way they came and played yesterday after whatever is happening off the field, I think that's a good character to show. And it was a thumping win for them. It wasn't that they struggled. It was one-sided. But yeah, the test is going to be, as Satish was saying, Samson versus Rishabh Pant during situations. I think that is where Samson has a little edge. In difficult situations, I have felt Rishabh Pant's decision making is questionable. But yeah, we can expect a good game, but Delhi has an edge purely because of their mental state of yesterday's win.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a very valid point which you have made. I mean, yes, I mean, Delhi had been a bit up and down, but I don't remember any instance like initial days, the kind of things that Rishabh was doing, like, ending up not using the full quota of a bowler, etc., etc. And if you ask me, I think sometimes a win under tough situations does galvanize a team a lot. So I will put my money on Delhi and see, because they have got the depth. I mean, it is just that, they were not being able to show their true colors. So I'd put my money on Delhi and see how it goes.
Yeah.
So
So
3-2.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to add, Gautam, like we have spoken about Rohit and Ishans and Jadejas, it's time for Rishabh Pant also to stand out in a performance. That is to be seen.
Correct.
Very, very important.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Important point. Yeah.
Right. So that's it. Thanks once again for joining. I mean, it's been a lovely, little different kind of discussion where we tried to, take in a lot of other subjects like Fazan Bhai's experience of speaking non-stop on cricket and combining with entertainment. How does it feel for a team owner if, a major buy in the auction goes wrong? And of course, today's Chennai's win, it's a very, very, very Chennai-esque performance, I would say, taking the match deep and then Dhoni finishing it off with a flourish. And of course, a forecast of tomorrow's match. Stay tuned. We'll be back again tomorrow after the game. Thank you so much and good night.